Another fascinating game. Saints -3 at the Falcons, over under a very Taysom Hill-like 46. New Orleans 9-2, 6-5 against the spread. Atlanta 4-7, 5-6 against the spread. The Falcons have won 4 of 6. What's really interesting, Marcus, though, it's like it feels like that game against this matchup was like somehow longer ago. But it was like 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And Taysom Hill threw for 233 yards, threw some horrific passes, threw some not so bad passes. So before I ask who you like, what does that factor in? Because when you saw that game, which was kind of a beatdown, even though Taysom Hill was kind of just doing his thing, to see the line like this is fascinating because, again, it was only 2 weeks ago.
I think it's because Atlanta is playing better, right? They just demolished the Raiders last week. Their defense has really started to play better. I think Raheem Morris has been a little bit of an upgrade at coach for the Atlanta Falcons. So I think that's why this line is a little funky here. I still like the Saints. I think they've got the best roster in the NFL. Now, that doesn't mean I think they've got the best team, because I think whenever you have Patrick Mahomes, you're the best team in the NFL. I think New Orleans should find a pretty easy way to win this one.
I am really interested in how Taysom Hill plays. It's probably unfair to criticize him after last week's gameplay. Like, he did exactly what they wanted him to do, right, which was basically sit on the football as the opposing team plays a practice squad wide receiver at quarterback.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? It's probably unfair, and yet I think it's completely fair to be skeptical. I like Atlanta here. I think Atlanta's playing well. I just don't think that I think over the course of weeks too, Marcus, by the way, this is sort of the classic game film cliche. But I do think realistically that you've seen this guy in small doses. You're going to figure out behaviors and trends from him that you've not been able to figure out before, the more they put on film. Colts -3 at the Texans, over under 52.5. Indy 7-4, 6-5 against the spread. Houston 4-7 and 4-7 against the spread. What jumps out here?
So every week I do my 5 or 4 teams that are guaranteed to lose, and I picked the Indianapolis Colts to lose in this game. Recorded that early in the week. Felt really good about it with the way Houston looked on Thanksgiving. And as soon as that video dropped, Will Fuller and Bradley Roby, 2 of their best players, they're out for the season with PED suspension. So that's never fun. But listen, it's still Deshaun Watson. My brain tells me the Colts are probably going to win this game easily. But I love Deshaun Watson. So I'm picking them here. I don't care about Will Fuller being out. It sucks, but hey, what are you going to do? I'm taking them +3 in this game.
I like the over. I mean, you lose a corner like that. I still think the Texans will score. I think Indy's going to play better. It's a little interesting to see, the odds makers have been giving Indy a lot of respect. We feel like the last couple of weeks, and I don't get that sense here, right? I'm not saying, the Texans are bad. I think the Texans are obviously better than the record would indicate. They've lost some close games, and O'Brien, what a mess. So I think you'll get points. Browns at Titans. Titans -6, over under 54. 8-3 for Cleveland, 4-7 against the spread. 8-3 for the Titans, 5-6 against the spread. And that's actually a perfect talking off point. This is just an odd game between 8-win teams. Like, this is just an odd, and I'm not saying neither team is, that's the record. But when I evaluate these two teams, even after the Titans win last week, doesn't it just have a strange aura about it?
It does, and I think it's just because the Browns are weird, right? They're 8-3.
Yeah.
They're playing well, but they still have a negative point differential this year. It's absolutely crazy. And I think I don't trust Baker Mayfield. You shouldn't trust Baker Mayfield. You see some of the throws that he's making every week, and you just shake your head. Listen, I don't like Cleveland a lot here. They've failed to cover the spread in 10 of their last 11 road games. If they get behind in this game at all, will they be able to come back in the passing game? I don't know. We'll see about their defense. Can they slow down Derrick Henry? This is the time of the year where Derrick Henry starts to become unstoppable. I think I like the Titans to cover this 6-point spread here.
Those throws by Mayfield, a couple of open receivers were like, it's like me. That was really bad. I don't know if that's fixable. I don't know what you do with that. Cleveland's best win. You beat Indy. You beat the Bengals twice. You beat Washington, the Cowboys, Texans, Eagles, this is this feels like a fraud team.
I agree.
I mean, it just does. I hate the word fraud. I feel like a fraud for saying fraud, but it is. I like the Titans. Rams -3 at Cardinals, over under 48.5. Rams 7-4, 6-5 against the spread. Arizona 6-5, 5-6 against the spread. Kyler Murray is mortal. Kyler Murray, Bill Belichick did his thing, like he's done to Patrick Mahomes. He did it to Kyler Murray, and Cam Newton threw for less than 100 yards and 2 interceptions last week and still beat them. That's fascinating. I don't know how much you can take of that into this week, but I found the whole result in that entire game was like a box score masterpiece.
Yeah, I don't think the Cardinals are particularly very good. You know, we look at some of their wins this season. It took a Hail Murray to beat Buffalo, you know, in a game they should have lost.
Good drop there.
They were down by 10 points to Seattle with 2 minutes left in that game, and they pulled that game out of the rear. They're a 500 team, and they're fine. They're a fun story. I think the Rams are good. Sean McVay has won the last 5 games facing the Cardinals. Cliff Kingsbury has no answer on how to stop the Rams offense. I think the Rams are going to win this one pretty easily on Sunday.
I'm going to go over for one of the reasons that you mentioned. I think both offenses really struggled in different reasons last week. I don't necessarily think that's a bad loss for the Rams, right? The Cardinals one is just, yeah. I mean, especially to see the Patriots offense the way it did. I think both offense get right. I could see the Rams putting up 30 points here. I think the Cardinals are still going to find a way to score. If I had to pick a side here, I'm with you on the Rams. It feels like a pretty good team that just ran into a tough situation last week. Bills -2.5 at the 49ers, over under 48. It's a Monday night game. Bills 8-3, 6-5 against the spread. 49ers 5-6, 5-6 against the spread. But that's an interesting team. And I'm just very curious here. This is kind of a clash of styles, and you've got Josh Allen going up against a great defense. So what jumps out to you?
Why do I not trust the Buffalo Bills? Like, we should.
I'm with you.
They've played really well this year. They have a couple tough losses, including one against Kansas City. But there's just something about the Bills I don't like. I don't know if it's their defense, which has been awful this season. Maybe it's Josh Allen. I don't know. But I kind of like the 49ers here. I'm taking the 49ers and the points, and I think they're going to go on a little bit of a roll here.
I actually love them in this game. I really like the 49ers. I actually like the under. I was looking just at some stats. 49ers have allowed the 5th fewest passing yards so far this year. They're a top 10 rush defense. Last week, they allowed a 61-yard run to Cam Akers, and outside of that, 27 rushes for 65 yards for the Rams. It's actually amazing. When you talk about coach of the year, like with all the injuries and everything else they've had, this is pretty phenomenal. So yeah, I like the 49ers. I'll take them with the points. I think the money line is really live, and I like the under here.